Hello everybody, welcome to Expresate TV. We're from New York City and we're about to talk to a lady who has a really creative mindset and has gone through a lot of hardships and a lot of experiences coming from this own city. And she has compressed her mind and her energy into writing incredible books that men feel threatened by her emotion and her details of what she writes. And today I have the pleasure of speaking to her. She is about to release a lot of projects, a lot of great material about a lot of film. Now she's gonna make her dream come true. Deborah, welcome to Expresate TV.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How do you like the space?
I love it.
You love it?
Yeah, it's comfortable.
So Deborah, I know you went through a lot. You were incarcerated in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the hardest thing that you experienced?
Okay, what I experienced was the solitude, because no matter how many women I was around, I always still felt alone. You know, because nobody knew what I was going through, of course not. And I didn't want to be a part of whatever was going on in that prison, because in many ways I felt like I didn't belong there. I'm very, like, I had this bougie attitude, like, how dare they lock me up, you know what I mean? And through my writing, I realized why I needed to be sat down, you know, because I had a greater purpose. You know, my purpose wasn't to be on the street selling drugs to people. You know, my greater purpose was to bring entertainment. You only can write what you know. You cannot write something that you don't know anything about, because it's not gonna read well. People gonna say, oh, I don't believe this. That person didn't experience this. You know, everyone that has read my books, they feel my books. In some way, shape, or form, they can relate to the story. Be it a woman, be it a man, you know, be it a young teenager, you know, just coming to terms with her age, you know, the coming of age stories. I have 5 published books out, but I also have 13 others that I haven't put out yet.
How do you start before you're gonna write a book? How does the title?
Well, I used to read when the urban fiction books started coming back out after Donald Goins. Those books died out a little bit. And then all of a sudden, the urban novels started coming out with Terry Woods, with Kawan Foy, there's a few others that were writing, you know. But when the urban books started coming out again, I started reading them because I could relate to the story. Again, I read a story that was very badly written. You know, like everything about the book was horrible. And I was like, you know what? I could write better than this. And I challenged myself, and I wrote Chain in 30 days.
Incredible. 30 days.
In 30 days.
One crazy fact from history is that, you know, like the Germans used to burn books because of the power that they used to carry. How big of a power do you think you're gonna give society after releasing 13 books?
Well, I always say I'm gonna become famous when I die, right? Like Perry Thomas. Down these mean streets. You know, the book was there, always has been there, but nobody really picked it up. Nobody really read that story. The minute he passed away, his book became a classic, you know. I don't want that to happen to me, you know what I mean? I want to bring my stories to life, and that's why I went from writing the novel to writing the script to filming a visual for a bigger production company, because those are my intentions. My intentions is to bring you a visual. It's gonna be a package. It's gonna be the book, the script, the visual. Now you purchase that whole package, and you put A1 actresses and, you know, A1 producers and A1 directors. Can you imagine the impact that my stories would give society? In Too Deep, LL Cool J. One of my closest friends, Gary, wrote that story. You know, and that was a blockbuster hit. And where do they have the urban fiction stories at now? The urban stories, we don't have that in the theaters anymore. We don't have any hardcore street writers getting picked up for, you know, for the movie theaters, you know? Everything now is just little digital. I don't want that for my story. That's why my story's nowhere.
So, as a woman, you have a powerful voice. You have a powerful persona.
Thank
you know. How before off camera, you said that some men get impressed and like, you know, terrified by when they read your books. Why do you think so?
Because when I was out there on the streets, there weren't women out there on the street with the men hustling. I hustled, like I was on the street, morning, noon, and night. I made money. And I was right there neck and neck with them. And they had to respect me because I was an equal, because I proved myself, you know what I'm saying? You have to prove yourself on the streets. You know, and I proved myself, and I'm loyal, and there's just certain codes that you live by, and was very rare at that time.
That's incredible.
You know, there's a part in the movie that the girls are talking, right? They're young, and one of them is supposed to be me and my best friend, right? And she's like, "Oh, how do you want to sell drugs? We're supposed to be the girlfriends of the drug dealers." Right? So the girl that's playing me, she's like, "What are you talking about? That who told you that?" Like, but we're about to change that because I don't want to be the girlfriend of the drug dealer. I want to be the drug dealer.
Incredible. Your impact to society. Do you like politics at all?
No.
No.
I don't, because listen.
This is powerful enough.
Yeah, I mind my own business. I take care of my own business. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't agree with a lot of things that's happening. You know, like Black Lives Matters and the you know, the black on black. You know, they're killing each other, and Puerto Ricans. You know, like I don't agree with those things, but I know that I can't change the world. You know, so. I do workshops. I work with a lot of people. You know, I have a lot of authors that I work with that are either coming home, you know, they want their books typed out, they need an editor, whatever, and eventually I become their mentor. Eventually they come up under me, like, you know, and I'm just like the mother hen of the industry. You know, like if you want to write a book and you tell me your story, you know, I'm going to tell you to write it, then I'm going to read it, then I'm going to sit down with you and tell you how to correct it, how to edit it, how to do this, how to format, how to get the cover, how to write the synopsis, you know?
Were there a lot of writers in prison during this time?
No.
No?
I was the only one.
Wow. So you pretty much, all your thoughts, you just...
I did my whole time writing.
Wow.
I wanted to just write.
What's that one emotion that you wrote more of?
Well, I challenged myself. The emotion that started it all was a challenge. You know, because I'm always one that I did this today, I know I could do it better too. You know, like I could do something greater. I challenge me. Nobody has to challenge me.
That's great.
And I don't compete with anybody because I'm a one-woman show. Like I don't need to compete with nobody.
That's a really artistic mindset, because a lot of people who create, they do their work, they stare at their work 5-10 times, and then they just put it on the side and they're like, okay, how can I make it better now?
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much what you're doing, where you want to always make a better book throughout the years. What are you gonna make in 10 years, you think?
I'm gonna be strictly into films by next year.
Wow.
In a year. I'm giving myself a year.
So you think this is part of even a learning experience for you to get into film? Because you are a writer?
Well, no. I needed to write the book. The book had to be written. I never thought about the film until I came home in 2007. And I was like, damn, I would love to make my book into a film. Here I am 10 years later, and that's when it was done. You see, so that wasn't the goal. The goal is, or was, one, to get through my time, you know, safely with minding my business, you know, and just doing my bit. You know what I'm saying? Once I came home and I hit the streets of Harlem, like I was, it's crazy because back when I came home in 2007, all on 125th Street, all you seen was book vendors. Okay, and then you had all these people like selling their little books, whatever. I was not standing there to sell my book. I was a beast. I went from 3rd Avenue and 125th all the way to Broadway on one side of the street, came down the next side of the street and sold all of my books. I made $10,000. I made $10,000 in a month. I made $100,000 in less than a year.
Do you think you can hustle any product
I
that you
can
put your
hustle
mind
whatever. I can hustle anything that I believe in, though. I have to believe in the product.
Awesome, that's good.
You know, I have to believe in the product. If I don't believe in the product, I don't care what the checks are.
That makes you really selective with
Yeah.
what you invest on and
Yeah.
what you put your time in with.
And who I work with, too.
Right, exactly.
I don't work with just anybody. And I don't care about your feelings. Like,
Right.
I don't need to work with you. You know, I have a choice.
You make the trip shorter, right?
Absolutely.
What are they gonna expect in your other releases that you're about to release?
Well, I'm not releasing any more books at the moment. I just released this one. It's been out. It was out, I think it was like 5 years ago. I put it up as an ebook.
Okay.
And because of course the industry changes, you know, I said I wanted to write the script to this one. And this one is a total different type of story. The Chain is about the drug game. Pocketful of Game is about the stick-up game, you know, because a lot of people forget that they were stick-up kids, you know what I'm saying? And these stick-up kids used to run up in your house and rob you and do all these things. So nobody talks about those, you know, those people. And I said, you know what, I want to do something different. Okay, so she sold drugs, he sold drugs. All right, that's getting boring already. All right, let me think of something else that has happened in my life that I can write about. And I got robbed. You know, the one that never thought it could happen to her. You know what I'm saying? I got robbed, and the way that they robbed me was crazy. They just ran up in my house, you know? So I put that story to life. But I made it different. I didn't make it about women. This book is all about women. It's a woman's book. Like, a woman could get into it and be like, oh my God, you know, as well as a man. This one, all the characters are men.
And another great thing is that you are a Latina woman. And your audience, you have a lot of different.
I have a big audience, and I'm the very first Latina urban fiction writer. And I'm also in the encyclopedia. I'm also in the Writer's Glide.
You have made a
So
lot of
I'm
accomplishments.
stamped.
Stamped.
Yeah, I'm
Boricua?
stamped. Huh?
Boricua?
Yeah.
Are you right now? Are you single or do you have a love somebody that has affects your writing?
No one affects my writing.
No one affects your writing.
I have
no
seven.
relationships.
I'm married, but my books are that's separate from.
They don't get scared by your writing.
No, they get scared of me. He ain't gotta read my book.
They don't read your books.
Yeah, he just read this one. He was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, fresh is me. I was like, yeah, fresh is you.
Oh boy.
Like, I have a character, the main character, Fresh, that's him. The attitude, the arrogance, you know, you think you all this and that, you know. But sometimes, you know, it takes a strong woman to bring you down to reality. So I think this book did it for him when I shot him off at the end.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And so you're shooting to be remembered. You said you're shooting to be remembered as a great writer, really impactful, and you've been through a lot. And
But what I'm doing now is instead of publishing the books, I'm going to turn the book into a screenplay. Once the screenplay is done, I would love to start filming right away, you know? But that takes a lot of, it takes money. And I'm independent and I'm doing everything on my own. I don't have any investors. I don't ask nobody for help. I don't ask nobody for anything. You know, the only thing that I do is I cast, and if an actor's hungry and they're interested in the project, they'll jump on board, you know what I mean? And they'll film with me. But can I promise you thousands of dollars to be my leading guy? No, because I don't have a budget. And I tell everybody, I'm filming without a budget, and I'm real, you know. I'm not gonna sit there and sell you dreams. I'm gonna tell you, I don't have a budget. I don't have no money.
You're an incredible example of never giving up. Because
Oh, yeah.
you've been through a lot, and you say since you were hustling and you're still pushing and you're still working, and you're in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
and who comes out of prison, you know, and starts doing their dreams, and you are an example of to a lot of women. And what do you think women could look up to you? What would you have given them advice who have dreams?
Well, I'm very when someone comes to me and they're like, oh, you know, I'm not one to stroke your ego. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna sit there and tell you, ay bendito, ay pobre. You know, I'm not that type of person. I'm gonna give it to you raw, you know. And I always say, if you stay in the rut, that's what you're gonna get. Like, get out of the rut and do what you have to do, you know. Now, if you coming at me as on a book level, like someone that wants to write a book, like I said, I always tell them, you know, start from anywhere. You know, you could start from, I'm sitting at my kitchen table and my husband is in boxers, you know, barking orders at me. If that's where you want to start, you know, at the end of the day, you have to start somewhere. So I always tell a writer, you know, or someone an inspiring writer, if you want to write, if this is what you want to do, you have to start from somewhere. And don't give up. Because people think just because you're not a professional writer does not make you a writer. You understand? You are a writer. Anybody could write a story. It's just how you put it together. And that's where the not giving up comes in, because if you give up, then you're never going to learn the second part of writing a book, which is the process. You know?
Deborah, it's been a pleasure talking to you. And
I inspire you.
You inspire me to you inspire me as knowing that there are persons out there who nothing stops them.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't stop. That's an inspiration I get from you, because we have an idea of, oh, you know, they can't change, or I haven't met anybody who has a story like that. So you're inspiration, especially Latina.
Well, I'm glad I was the first.
Especially Latina, and you have a strong, powerful, solid, and you say like it is, and that's great. That's amazing. Thank you for being in the show, and
thank you for having me.
Maybe we can do a series of, like, you know, for land women, and actually we do have a land woman empowerment we're working on, and
I have that too. We have that. I have that.
You fit perfectly in that. So Deborah, thank you very much.
I'm in a women's empowerment group.
Yeah?
Yeah. But that's another episode.